Hi, thanks for watching another episode of Marion Brush TV. Today we're going to be talking about our Big Foot Trac II M Series system. Now this system is a motorized version of our standard Big Foot Trac II system, which is typically pulled across the slab with hand-over-hand action. This motorized system operates the tool in a self-propelled manner. So once there's tension on the ropes, the tool drives from point A to point B. The benefit to this system is it's going to allow you to do slightly wider pours, because each user is just putting tension on the line as opposed to one user releasing and one user taking up rope. It's also going to allow you to have a little bit more accuracy out in the slab, because instead of focusing on even hand over hand pulling, you're going to be able to just pull tension on the rope and focus strictly on the operation of the tool from point A to point B. Another benefit is you're going to have a little bit less arm strain, a little happier workers out there on the slab, just because you're not having to pull a big tool across the slab hand over hand. This is not an all-inclusive video. This is just mainly a 101 video, an operations type video. So if you do purchase the Big Foot Trac II M Series system, you'll want to read the manual from front to back just so that you know all of the operating nuances of the system. But this video will give you a good idea of how to get started. All right, let's talk about what comes with the Big Foot Trac II M Series system. So first of all, you're going to get the power unit. This power unit is what contains that fractional horsepower motor that allows it to self-propel from point A to point B across the slab. Really awesome. It's going to come with a high-quality battery and a high-quality charger. We didn't want to skimp on the quality of those because, of course, you want to have enough runtime, you want enough power on the slab when you're doing the job so you don't have lots of issues as far as that's concerned. You're going to be able to get a mechanism. Now this mechanism is really similar to our original Big Foot Trac II mechanism in that when the system pivots, it's going to lift those Fresnos on the leading edge up and out of the slab so that you're not having issues with it digging into your slab. The Fresnos and the whole system are available with 4-foot, 5-foot, and 6-foot widths of Fresnos. So when you order it, you'll just specify what width that you want. It's also going to come with a set of tracking ropes. Now those tracking ropes are the ones that go through the power unit and allow it to track along from point A to point B across your slab. They're a really high quality polyester 1/4 inch solid braid rope. So they're a really great rope. You want to keep your ropes clean. They're a low wicking material. They're high abrasion resistance. So we include 2 of those in the system. You get debris built up on them, you can purchase new ropes down the road. We also included a set of standard clipped ropes. The clipped ropes are important because they're kind of an insurance policy. If the night before someone's charging up your system and they plug into an outlet that doesn't work, you get out to the slab and your battery's not charged, you want to have some sort of a way to be able to answer the need for Fresnoing on your job site. So that clipped rope is going to allow you to clip to the outer eye bolts of your tracking clamps. That's going to allow you to manually pull the system across the slab, kind of similar to the manual Big Foot original version. We also will throw in a pack of 10 of these rope squeegees. They're just a rubber washer, and those live right in between on the tracking rope between the outer eyelets and the power unit itself, and they're going to just pick debris off the ropes. As incidental debris grabs a hold of the rope, it's going to pick that off. Clean ropes are a really important part of running the M Series system, and so keeping them staked up out of your slab, which we'll talk about later, is very important. But these will pick off incidental pieces of dust and material that collect on your rope as you're operating. All right, when you're unboxing your power unit, the first thing that you'll need to do is attach your tracking clamp extensions. It's going to come with 2 of these, one for each side of the power unit. Now I've attached the one on the right-hand side, and you can notice that the tracking eye bolt is going to be in the up position towards the lid, up towards the lid of the power unit. It's good to note also, while we've got the unit out here like this, that there is a battery side to the power unit, and then there's a motor side to the power unit. There's also this neat little notch in the front of this mounting bar. This notch side is what we call the front of the power unit. So I'm going to attach the tracking clamp extension to the front of the power unit now. When that tracking clamp extension comes, it's going to have these nuts. So I'm just going to take these nuts off of here, and then I'm going to attach this to this notched side. And what I like to do is put a little bit of pressure towards the power unit when I'm doing this, and that makes sure that this bar is going to be level as possible. And then we're just going to attach both of those nuts, and then we're going to tighten those down. And once we know that our bar is level, we're going to snug it real good and tight. All right, next it's time to attach the power unit to the mechanism. Now there's a couple of things to note about this. With the tracking clamp extensions, now you're able to universally attach the power unit to our Bullfrog Trac II M Series, as well as to our Big Foot M Series and to our Chameleon Trac II M series. So we're pretty excited about that factor. Also, when you're connecting this, you want to make note there's these white washers here. So we want to be able to attach the power unit to this side where the white washers are. Those are going to give us clearance so that when the mechanism is pivoting from one side to the other, there's enough clearance for all of the nuts and bolts to be able to move freely. You want everything to move and pivot smoothly. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this power unit up here. And one thing that we're going to notice here is this notch that we mentioned in the previous take. There's the word notch right down here on the leverage bar. So we want to make sure that that notch is on the same side as the word notch on the leverage bar. We're just going to attach this here. These are our mounting holes, 3/8 inch holes here. And then you're also going to notice that there's a couple of holes on the inside here. These holes are designed for compatibility with the Chameleon Trac II system, the M series Chameleon. So you won't be using those right now, but if you do ever convert to a Chameleon Trac II, you will utilize those holes for standard bar configuration, depending on which color of brush you use. But now we're just focused on getting that attached right there. We're going to go ahead and put these nuts on here. And then what you want to do is use a 9/16 inch set of wrenches, and you're going to snug these down, but you don't want to over tighten them, because if you tighten them too much, you're going to lose all of your pivot in your mechanism. So we want to tighten them up and then just back them off the slightest bit. That'll allow you to get a full amount of pivot, a full range of motion with your mechanism when you're running it out on the slab. All right, now that you've connected your power unit to your mechanism, it's time for you to connect that whole setup onto your Fresnos. Now, I usually tell folks to just position their Fresnos about shoulder width apart, and then you're going to grab the mechanism and the power unit and lower them down over these white riser blocks that are on your Fresnos. Once you've positioned that evenly over the riser blocks, you're going to take a 1/2 inch nut driver and you're going to go through and evenly tighten all 4 of the base bracket bolts on each foot. Once that's tightly secured, you're ready to feed the line. All right, for loading the rope, the first thing that you want to make sure of is that your power unit is off and your battery is disengaged. I always harp on this because you don't want to have a situation where your power unit's exposed and you get your hands in places that they shouldn't be and you have problems. So the first way to know if your power unit's off is there's a green LED here on the side. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on so that you can kind of see that LED is illuminated green. That's a clear sign that your power unit's on and your battery's connected. So we don't want that. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. I'm gonna go under here and disconnect our battery. And then what I'm gonna do is take the battery off completely. And that way I can see it. I know that we're not connected. So of course, no power light, battery's disconnected. Now it's safe to take the lid off of the power unit. So what we're gonna do to take that lid off is we're just gonna pull this pin and then we're gonna rotate the lid counterclockwise. That's gonna disengage the clasp that holds the lid on, and then we'll just set that off to the side. Now what's inside of the power unit, you're gonna see there's a lot of electronics here, and it's a good time to start talking about some of the features here. So we've got a fuse that's designed for deactivating the tool in the event that we have too much power being pulled from the system. We have a rope that's got a lot of debris on it, or we have some sort of a knot or a fray on the rope. It's going to shut the power unit off to protect the user as well as the power unit. We've also got our on-off switch, which is here. That's just a left-right switch, very easy, on and off. And then we have our directional switch here. This is going to tell the tool which direction to go. It's very simple. So when the switch is going that direction, the tool is going to want to go that direction. When we flip it the other direction, the tool is going to want to traverse that direction on the rope. Another neat feature that's important to mention is our battery alert system. Now this system is in place to help the user know when the battery is getting close to being kaput. It's time to replace the battery. You don't want to be in a situation where you're out on the slab, your battery dies, and you have to pull the unit off of the slab. It's just better to know in advance. So we know that. So as you're operating the tool, you're going to have your LED here. That's going to glow green when the power is good on the tool. As you're using the tool, eventually what will start to happen is the tool LED will start to turn red. This is an indication that we're starting to get a little bit of battery used up, but it's not quite an indication that it's time to replace the battery. Now, as we start to see that light become more prominent, if we see that light up red for the full duration of your pass, then that's when we know it's time to change the battery. Coupled with this LED, we also have a buzz alert, which is an audio alert. that's also going to start to chirp periodically throughout the slab as we have power surges, more power, less power. But as we get to the point where the battery does need replaced, you'll notice that chirp is going to be constantly chirping for the full duration of a pass. So in other words, if that is chirping from the time you start your pass to the time that you end the pass, it is time to, in fact, change your battery. That is most of the items that you need to know about inside the power unit itself. Now let's load some rope. So the first thing we want to do is load the rope into the outer eyelet. That's our tracking clamp. And then we're going to go ahead and load our rope squeegee. Now again, these are just a rubber washer designed to pull incidental debris off of the ropes. We're using a high quality 1/4 inch braided polyester rope. It's going to wick a lot less. It's going to stretch a lot less than a typical nylon rope. So it's a special rope for the tracking line. Then we're going to depress the guide tube. We're going to load the rope into the outer brass, and then we're going to feed it through. We're going to also depress this side guide tube, and we're going to see that it's going to go out the other side of the power unit. Now this is the time we want to throw the rope squeegee on the other side. And these rope squeegees, again, they're just going to pass back and forth between the outer tracking eyelet and the power unit as you're operating your tool. We're going to feed this through the outer tracking eye. And then what I'm going to do is pull approximately 10 feet through. 10 to 15 feet is great. The shorter side of the rope is going to be the side that you want to start the tool from. And that's going to get your rope into the tool. Now let's talk about engaging the rope. This is where we engage the traction, and our AR friction wheel is going to do that trick here. So I'm going to loosen the hardware, these two wing nuts, slide out the rope guide, which is this black piece here, and then we're going to go take both fingers and we're going to floss this rope down into the slot in this rope guide. And you'll see there's a visible slot there. We want to get that rope all the way into that slot. And then there's 2 orange stopper bolts right here under the AR friction wheel. We want to make sure that this rope guide is butting up directly against those orange stopper bolts. So we're going to put a little bit of pressure on that to make sure that we're right up against there. The rope is fully engaged with the AR friction wheel. And then at that point, while we're putting a little force on there, we want to tighten our wing nuts. And I'm going to tighten these really good because I don't want my rope guide to slide away from the AR friction wheel. In general operation, when your rope's clean, we want to have that nice and tight. That way it will make a solid connection between the AR friction wheel and your rope. At that point, you've got a good solid connection and you're ready to go to the next step. All right, let's talk about the battery and the charger that come with your M-Series system. Now, we made sure that we put the really high quality battery into the mix here because we know it's really important to have enough power out on the slab and something that's not going to be weak or failing on you. So we've got this high quality EarthX battery. This has a built-in BMS, battery management system. That's going to protect this from ultimately failing out on the slab should you get in a situation where there's some sort of a parasitic drain or something that's going to pull the battery down to a really low level and cause catastrophic failure. This battery won't do that. It's also going to run your tool for 10 to 12,000 square feet. So if you're out on a job, 10 to 12,000 square feet is a pretty good sized pour. But some folks out there are doing 20, 30, 40,000 square foot jobs. If you're doing, say, a 30,000 square foot job, you're going to want to have 3 of these batteries charged up and on site, ready to go. That way you're not having to mess around with plugging a battery into an inverter and hoping that the inverter works and you have an issue with power out on your job site. That's never good. Also the charger itself. This charger is going to charge this battery. It's got a really neat optimizing system. The charger manual that comes with it is going to show you all of its features. So take a look at that. One really neat feature about this is it's got really good, easy to read LEDs on the front. So it helps you understand the state of the charge. Also, it has the BMS reset button. The nice thing about that is if the battery does go into a BMS state where it's not pushing power out of the battery anymore as a protective mechanism, the charger is going to recognize that it's in that state and pull it out of that state and begin charging it effectively again. So let's go ahead and connect the battery to the charger and then the charger to the wall, and we'll see what it looks like. So I always recommend starting with plugging the battery into the charger, and then you're going to plug the charger into the wall. And what that's going to do is allow the charger to notice the state of the battery and assess the state of the battery properly. In this case, we've got a power light here telling us that the charger is working. And then we've got a blue light here showing that the battery is beginning to be charged. You'll see those consistent lights on when the process is happening. That will help you understand at what state the battery's in. Are we in the save mode? Are we in charge mode? Or is the charge complete? Very easy system, and it's going to keep your battery running for a long time. All right, now that our rope is fed and our battery's charged, it's time to reconnect our lid. So we're going to notice on the front of the lid, we've got this hole. That's going to be consistent with the front of the power unit. Remember, that's consistent with the notch on this mount bar. So we're going to engage the back part of our lid with this notch hole in the back of the power unit. And once that's inserted into that slot, the lid's a little bit off center. We're going to rotate that lid clockwise, and that's going to engage the lid in the front. That's going to give you a nice firm connection. Then we're going to drop the pin down through our pin lock tube, and that's going to get it locked so that it doesn't come loose during your operation. Now let's reconnect our battery. The way we're going to do that, you'll notice that there's a piece of all-weather Velcro on the back side of the battery. That's just going to give us a little stability when we're first connecting the battery. And then I'm going to take this bungee cord, run that up and connect that through the eye bolt, and then we're just going to go ahead and connect our power at this point. Once that's connected, we're ready to start operation. All right, now that you've got the unit assembled and you get it out to your job site, you're ready to start your Fresnoing. So what I like to do is, of course, start on the side that has the shortest amount of rope. Then you're going to take that other side, that other length of rope over to the other side of the slab. Again, this is a good time to talk about, you want to keep those ropes clean. So you want to keep pressure on that rope so that it's up and out of the slab. A great way to do that is to put a rebar stake in each end of your slab, maybe a foot or 2 feet off of the pour itself. That way, when it's time to kind of, when you're waiting for the screeders to get finished ahead of you, you can tie that rope off under tension on the long side, and that will keep it from dipping down and wicking in debris and material onto your ropes. Again, if that concrete dries on the ropes, it's going to be really, really hard for it to pass through the machine, and it'll blow fuses, it will wear parts, it'll just do things it shouldn't do. So keeping the ropes clean, super important. So once I start the tool, we've got it powered up and ready to go. The tool's going to be on and ready for us. If the battery's plugged in and the power switch is on, it's just going to be waiting for the proper amount of tension. And that is a result of our Intuition drive. We've got a drive system in here called Intuition that allows each user on each side of the pour to deactivate the tool or activate the tool at any point. So the tool right now is waiting for the proper amount of tension on each side of the unit to activate it. I want to make sure that my directional switch is telling the tool to go away from me since I'm on the starting side. And then what I want to do is press the unit forward. What that's going to do when it's in position is that's going to lift the leading edge of those Fresnos up and off the slab, and that's going to release that suction. It's going to prevent it from nosediving into the slab. So we want it to stay up and ready. So now once I'm ready to start, we've got user A and user B. They put tension on the line. I put the proper amount of tension on the line, and that tool is going to start. Now I want to start the tool from the sending side. I want to start low. What that's going to do is that's going to keep this rear Fresno from wanting to pop up off the slab. If I'm standing up here like this, pulling up, I'm literally lifting that Fresno off, and I don't want to do that. So as I'm low, I'm keeping a little bit of down tension on that back Fresno, keeping it down. And then as the tool gets away from me 10, 15 feet out, I can stand back up and put a nice amount of tension on there. In general, the more tension within reason that you're putting on that rope, the better the tool is going to track. You don't need to go crazy, but a nice amount of tension, consistent and steady, is going to be an ideal way to run the tool. So as that tool is running down and we're keeping tension on those lines, on the receiving side, what happens is as it's getting close to the edge of the slab, you can either deactivate the tool and then go and feather it off the slab, or you can continue to put tension on the tool until it gets up to the point where you can grab the tool. You can do that in a couple of different ways. You can grab the tool from the handle, or we have something called an enhanced cable grab on each side of the mechanism. That's where you can grab that enhanced cable grab, and it'll allow you to pull the Fresno off of the slab and feather it. You can use two hands for operation if you want to use the cable grab here and use your handle there. Some people also like to continue to allow the power unit to be active, and that allows an assist. As the tool's coming off, the motor will kind of assist the tool off of the slab. But what you do want to do is once you get to the point where you're ready to stop, you release the tension on that rope. Once you release the tension on the rope, the tool deactivates, and then you can upright the tool and move it over to start your next pass. Usually I overlap about 6 inches. So as we've prepared ourselves on the next pass, we shift forward, press the unit forward, lift that suction off, and then I'm going to change that directional switch to go the other way. Now I'm on the receiving side over here, and as I've got tension on both sides of that rope, the tool is going to drive all the way from point A to point B, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to reach down, either grab the handle or grab the enhanced cable grab, feather the tool off the slab, release that rope to deactivate the tool, and on and on and on as we go down. That's going to be your basic operation. All right, let's talk about the type of rope that comes with your M-Series system. Now, we include 2 100-foot polyester 1/4-inch tracking ropes with this system. It's a solid braid polyester. Polyester is going to have great abrasion resistance. It's a high quality rope. It's not going to stretch as much as a typical nylon rope. And it's also not going to wick material into the rope as much as a standard rope would. So you want to make sure and get a high quality rope. You can purchase rope from your local hardware store, or you can purchase it from Marion Brush Manufacturing Company. You just want to make sure that if you're getting it from a local store, that you're getting 1/4-inch solid braid polyester rope. Now, when you purchase it from Marion Brush Manufacturing Company, your tracking lines are going to be polished. We make sure and polish those 100-footers. That way it makes it a lot easier to feed into the system. Another thing that I like to tell folks about the rope is, even though it's tempting while you're operating your tool, you don't want to wrap the rope around your hand while you're running the tool. It's a powerful unit, and it needs to be able to motorize the tool from point A to point B across the slab. But when you wrap the rope around your hand, you can get yourself into a pinch point when it's time to drop and deactivate the tool. It's cumbersome to release that rope. So if you're just holding the rope like this, or you've got a glove and you're holding it nice and tight, it's a lot easier to deactivate the tool and release the rope. Another thing I tell folks is staking the rope up out of the slab. Of course, there's going to be time when the tool's resting on one side of the pour or the other side of the pour while the screeding folks are getting done with what they're doing. While that's happening, it's a great idea to put a piece of rebar in the sides of the pour. That way you can tie up the long side of the rope onto the rebar. That'll keep it from dangling down into the slurry and getting a bunch of material built up on your rope. The tool is powerful enough to pull the tool when the rope is wet, but once that concrete dries on your rope, it's going to turn into a rock, and it's going to go through your power unit, cause damage, blow fuses, do things that you don't want it to do. So keeping your ropes clean is the most important way to operate the M-Series system. Rope's cheap, so if you have a messed up piece of rope, go ahead and throw it out, put a new rope system into your power unit, and you'll be good to go. All right, now when the job is complete, you're ready to clean off the unit. Usually we recommend cleaning off your M-Series system after each job. The first thing that you're going to want to do is decide whether you've got debris buildup on the Fresnos as well as the mechanism. Generally speaking, you're just going to get a lot of debris on the Fresnos themselves. That's real easy to clean because all you're going to do is loosen all 4 bolts on each side of the feet and remove the mechanism with the power unit, set it off to the side, and then power wash or clean off your Fresnos. If you do find that you get debris on the mechanism and you want to clean that off along with the Fresnos, you can take your power unit off, just loosening these 3/8-inch nuts, pull your power unit off, set it off to the side, and then clean everything down. Usually recommend doing some lubrication as well, since we've got a lot of like pivot parts in here. You've got cables that are moving, and we want that to stay fluid and moving for years to come. So a good way to do that would be to put some WD-40 or some sort of a grease on all of these pivot points here and just lubricate everything after each use. It just keeps them running really smoothly. As far as the power unit's concerned, we've got more sensitive equipment in there. We've got wires and fuses and that sort of thing. So what I generally recommend, even though you shouldn't be getting a lot of debris inside your power unit if your ropes are kept clean, you will pull in some dust, and if you get some incidental debris in there, a good way to clean that off is with an air compressor. Use a bottle brush or something to agitate any material that's inside there. Then use an air compressor and blow everything out. You can also use a damp rag to pull out the dust. That works really well. But every time that you clean this unit, you want to make sure that your battery is disconnected and your power's off. Again, you can look at the LED switch or LED light. If that light's off, the chances are pretty good that your power's off, but I usually take the battery off as well. That'll keep everything that's power related off while you've got your hands in the sensitive areas of the power unit. Once that's complete, you're pretty much ready for your next job. Get that battery charged up and you're ready to go. Thanks a lot for watching the video on the Big Foot Trac II M-Series system. If you have any questions on how to operate the tool or where to purchase the tool, reach out to your local distributor, or you can reach out to us here at Marion Brush Manufacturing Company, 1-800-930-9062. Happy finishing.